Hi, Steve here. Welcome to this video on the Top Pick software and form. This is for Australian and New Zealand racing. Below is another video which covers racing outside these two countries. So if you're interested in racing in Australia or New Zealand, then sit back and watch this short demo on Top Pick. Okay, what does Top Pick cover? Well, it covers all the meetings shown on Australian Sky Racing, Sky 1 and Sky 2. That is the Greyhounds, Harness Racing and Thoroughbred. And for those three, all races in Australia and New Zealand are covered. Other countries covered by Top Pick and covered in the other video are Singapore, Hong Kong, South Africa, UK, Ireland, France, Japan and the US. But to get full advantage out of the software, it really does focus on Australia and New Zealand racing. So without further ado, let's get on and have a look at the software. Okay, when you bring up the software, the first thing you'll see is this welcome screen here. All we need to do is click on Launch Meetings, and we have here today's racing and tomorrow's racing. Now with the racing here, all of Australia and New Zealand races are here for today and here for tomorrow. So if we look at racing there, we've got all the race meetings for today, including some in the UK and Ireland, and also South Africa. Okay, so that's what's there in the racing. In Greyhounds, Australia and New Zealand Greyhounds there, we don't do UK or we don't do Macau. And harness racing there, we've got Australia, New Zealand and one meeting there from down the bottom from the USA. Okay, so that's the meetings that are covered today. We'll just close these down and let's have a look at Canterbury. So when you click on the race meeting, you will come up with the races for today here. Okay, so this is Canterbury and we're looking at race 1 here. Let's go to a race that's got some form. So we'll look at race 5 for example. Okay, race 5's got a bit of form in that here. The dark yellow, orange, whatever it is there, these are the non-runners for the day, so you know what your scratchings are, and you can scroll down and see them there. Now what we do have, first things to explain is advertised start time is always New South Wales or Victorian time, whether it be Australian Standard Time or Australian Daylight Saving Time. That is always the time that is shown, the advertised start time. And that's, we've got the class, the distance of the meeting, of the race, sorry, etc. Now we have this form here which we're looking at now, which has, if I just scroll across, it has the TAB number or the horse number, the last 5 starts, the runner, barrier positions, the track distance winners, etc. or track distance or one at the course and distance, and the W's for wet weather. The trainer, the jockey, the weight, which is in kilos of course, the API, which is the average prize money index. If we click at the top, we can sort that column from highest to lowest or lowest to highest. It's showing here rezoned at 8.91 is the highest, has the highest prize earnings per start, moving on down to the lowest ones here of Super Mover. Another good column next to here is class difference. So if it's showing here rezones in a stronger race today than what it last raced in, whereas Absalom's racing in a weaker company than its last start. So that's quite a handy column to get to know. Then we have winning percentage, and as we click on it, if I click on the win percentage here, it puts the horse that's at top in the graphic first, and then these are consequently going down the list here. So if we go to place, we see Springbok, just do that, Springbok Flyer has 58% placed runs, so we can see that it's first, 55 for Anglo-Irish, so that's second. in the graphic. So the graphic just relates to the column. If we push it, this one here, we can see Absalom there is just in front of Gambler Blues, etc. So these are different forms of rating. This is form rating, just rating straight out on form. PR rating, WR rating is a weight rating, very loosely based on the Don Scott weighting. Can throw up some very good winners, this one. These three here are speed ratings, peak, maximum and lowest, and they're explained in the manual. Move on to AR rating, form rating. The CR rating here is consistency rating, and the PR rating is a mixture of the form rating, weight rating, and consistency rating. So that there is quite a good column here, and often I look at the horses that are top in this column and top in the form column. Okay, so that's the columns explained. What we have here is we can click on a horse or arrow, mouse over a horse, and we can see there it's giving us the summary of its last run and or last two runs. If we click on the horse, it comes up with a 5-race summary of the horse. So it gives us here its last 5 starts, the margins from the winner, the courses, the date, the distance, the class that it raced in, the weight it carried, who was riding it, the odds that it raced at last start, the winner, or if it did win, who came second. Stewart's comments. This one here's got no Stewart's comments, and we'll try and find one that has. I can show you in another one that if there's a comment from the stewards like checked for a run, etc., it will be a little thought bubble there which you can highlight. The time of the race that it ran, in running it, where the horse was positioned. So we saw this horse here in its last start was second, and it won its last start. Okay, so it's second. So we can see that its last 2 starts here, its last win, that was the top one. So it looks like it wins when it was leading. This one here, its last start, second. So it's an on-pace runner. We can see there. Okay, the track condition, heavy, slow, good, and the last column there showing the strike. So that's there, and then we can see the starts, how it's had. This one's had its last 20 starts are up there. Its class, it's had 30 starts for 4 wins, 3 places. So, and first up, it's had 7 starts. It's won first up once, and been placed once first up. And second up, it's had 7 starts, and it's won twice. So, a horse that goes well fresh. Okay, now those details. I'll just see if I can get one that's got comment form. Stewart's form. Just click on here. There's no Stewart's form on that one either. We'll go to. So what we can do also while we're talking here is in the trainer. If we click on the trainer, it gives us the trainer stats for that trainer. So in Canterbury, Ma has had 1 starter for no wins. So we can see here, obviously a very new trainer here. Okay. And we can see, looking at these stats here, these are New Zealand meetings. So obviously a New Zealand trainer shifting into Australia. Okay, so let's have a look at another trainer. Let's look at Chris Waller. We can see here, okay, Chris Waller, we can see he's had 164 starters at Canterbury in the last 12 months. He's had 23 wins, 50 places, so he's running at a 14% strike rate. Well, for every 7 horses he puts on the track, 1 wins. Then we can see in the region of New South Wales, he's had 1,113 starters, running at 13.7% strike rate. All venues in the last 30 days, it's wherever a horse has started that Chris Waller's trained, there's been 116 of them, and they've won 16 races. All venues in the last 12 months, 1,680 starters for a 13% win rate. And with Jim Cassidy on board, who's riding this horse today, Rezone, we can see they've had 114 starters, 16 winners, so a 14% strike rate. And here we have Chris Waller's last 5 wins. Okay, and the horse, the jockey, and the odds of that horse there. The next thing we can look at here is we can go into the jockey, and this will tell us the jockey stats. Okay, so we can see it all there. Okay, these stats are reasonably up to date. They're not right up to the minute, but you know, they're pretty well on the money. Okay, so they are the click-ons that you can do to get the strike rates of the jockey, the horse, and the trainer. Another thing that we have here is the quick form. So if we want to do this race without all these columns and that, we can just click on quick form, and here we have race 5 quick form, giving us pretty much all the stuff that we were looking at in the last when we clicked on a horse. The difference is this is like in a race book. You have all the details, you have the last 5 starts all here. Okay, and it carries, you can see this horse here, GB, so it was a horse from Great Britain. It's come over here and we can see its form there. Here's the little thought bubble I was telling you about. These thought bubbles here are the comment stewards. The steward from the inquiry into the performance means the stewards wanted to know why the horse ran the way it did. Okay, so a lot of what we saw when we clicked on the individual horse in that last graphics is on the quick form. Quick form enables you to quickly go through and, like in a race book, and get your information, and it has the description of the race and how it went last start. Okay, that's quick form. Just for example, at Bath in the UK, we'll find that it's only got 4 meetings, because the reason is Sky does a telecast net, and we can see there this one here is starting at 10 minutes to 2 in the morning Eastern States time. So if we go down to race 4, we can see there at 3:25 in the morning this is being raced. So any races after that, obviously very late, so they're not covered. So if you wanted to get Top Pick software and only do the UK racing or Irish racing or French racing, keep in mind that not all races are covered, okay, but we'll cover that in other countries in the video below. Okay, if we look at Greyhounds, once again, the Greyhounds are for Australia and New Zealand only. We'll click on Dapto. You can see we've got dogs here now. The dog graphics are for the column, so if we go to the XR column there, we see Rob Stark there is in front of Mr. Writer, only just, we can see 100% and 98%. Okay, these ratings are well used ratings. XR form rating is there. Anything once again with that dark orange colour, that's a non-runner. So if we go to form rating there, we can see that Mr. Writer is the best form dog in the race. Okay, so there's some more ratings there that you can look at. Consistency rating. Okay, and once again, if we look at quick form, we get the quick form of the dog, last 20 starts, the prize money, and the venues, etc., places where it ran, how many started, the class, the distance, the weight of the dog, the odds, who ran second, or if the dog didn't win, who ran second, in run, where the dog was, first, second, first, and the time that it ran, plus your first up stats, etc. So once again, all your meetings are covered in detail form there. Especially Mr. Writer here, the last 20 starts, very consistent dog, and we can see there 71% of its races it runs a place. Okay, and the tracks and grades that it's been running in. So we can get that by clicking on these again, but hovering over, mousing over the name, we can see the description of its last meeting and the meeting before that. Once again, if we click on the trainer, we get the dogs. We don't get the trainer stats. We only get the dog stats here. Okay. So it doesn't have the trainer stats like we do in the thoroughbreds. Okay, so that's the Greyhounds. Very good coverage there, and as I said, you can get all the form and that for these dogs and that, which you won't get like in normal papers or scouring through the web and that. So it's all at your fingertips here. We close the Greyhounds off. We look at harness racing. So let's go to Western Australia, to Northern, and once again, mouse over the horse. We get the horse's description of its last race, etc., and what it's expected to do in this race. Course, track, if it's one at the track, if it's one at the track and distance, or if it's one at the distance, all covered there. The trainer, the drivers, click on the drivers, and we only get the horse stats there. So we're not getting and trainer. Okay, so it's the horse stats only that we are getting there. We're not getting the training stats for the harness. So Greyhounds and harness, we're only getting the dog or the horse stats. Racing, we're getting the jockey stats, the trainer stats, and the horse stats. Okay, and as you sort by columns, once again the graphic will change. Okay. The TR is a very good rating there. The higher the TR, better the horse. Okay, so that is the harness racing covered, and I think that would just about that is the Australia and New Zealand racing for top pick. If you're interested in using this for other meetings, for other countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, etc., you can watch the second video. The thing is, it's not as in depth. The information that we give you is not quite as in depth, but unfortunately I can't show you Hong Kong racing because there's none down, but we'll show you in the next video. We'll show you like South Africa, UK and Ireland. Okay, so on behalf of Michael and myself, Steve, thanks for watching this video on Top Pick, and I hope that you see merit in having this on your desktop to get your form and ratings. Thanks again for watching.